In 2024, the New Orleans Saints had the worst season, posing a 5-12 record since the 2005 season, the last year when Aaron Brooks was around, and the first year before, or the year before Drew Brees came in, when they went 3-13. So this offseason was very, very important, and we're going to take a look at the offseason grade that ESPN gave, and we're going to break down everything they had to say. But I got to tell you, ESPN Plus is going to make you pay up to $144 a year for this content. But I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a giver. I'm a Saint because I'm a Saints fan. And so today we're going to give it to you for 100% free. You're welcome, brother. So this is a friendly reminder to subscribe here to Saints Now by Chat Sports. Lock us in. We've recently crossed over 47,000 subscribers, but we're on the road to 50K. If you want daily Saints videos by Saints fans, for Saints fans, plus a lot of fun live content and short form content as well, this is the place to go. Subscribe for 100% free Saints videos. Now let's get into the offseason grade from ESPN. It wasn't good. I'm just going to go ahead and say this right now. It was a not good grade. They gave them a D, which was the worst grade that they gave any team throughout all 32 teams in the NFL. They took a look at what teams did during the draft, free agency, and their other moves, including coaching hires, trades, and all of that good stuff. And so when it comes to what ESPN had to say, I think that it was pretty critical. I think it's very unfair to say that the Saints had the worst offseason in this league, but we could take a look at their explanation. They said that the biggest move was lucking into Derek Carr's retirement. I won't disagree with that. The Saints did get very fortunate that Derek Carr retired and that the contract situation panned out the way that it did. But I also think that ESPN was right saying that they liked the draft pick of Tyler Shough at 40 overall. I know that was a critical pick at the time, but ESPN did not like trying to pay Carr before he retired. We're going to break down all of this here in today's video. So the Saints, in my opinion, did not have the worst offseason in the National Football League. I think that that's actually kind of a crazy take because they address needs pretty much across every spot on the roster. They also got a lot of their needs filled in the coaching search. So in terms of whether or not the Saints had a bad offseason, I think it's absolutely crazy to say that it was terrible. And if you're going to sit here and say, well, they're not saying it's terrible, they had the worst one, that's terrible. You had the worst offseason in the league. I really do believe it's absolutely insane to say that the Saints did not have a good offseason. They filled literally every need. They were bad against the run, so they went ahead and got run stoppers in the draft and in free agency. They had an external hire at head coach. Kellen Moore is a young and innovative offensive mind. I think that that was an excellent move for the New Orleans Saints. Brandon Staley will modernize the defense. So not only did they do a good job in filling holes on the roster in terms of players, but they also filled needs as coaches to get more modern, to get more innovative, to get more creative. They needed to get younger and cheaper. And in this offseason, they made 9 foundational draft picks. They did not spend a lot of money. They cleared cap space, and they're no longer tied to Derek Carr. So I think that it's absolutely insane to say that the Saints had the worst offseason. But I'm going to give ESPN the opportunity to defend themselves. So they said the Saints offseason was odd. That's actually an understatement. I think it was insane. It started with the retention of general manager Mickey Loomis and the hiring of coach Kellen Moore, then a decision to keep Carr. For what it's worth, I don't think Mickey Loomis was ever on the chopping block. I don't think that was ever – or parting ways with Mickey Loomis was really ever a strong consideration. There was nothing out there that suggested that. But let's evaluate that choice in the moment. At the time, Carr had a fully guaranteed $10 million roster bonus and a non-guaranteed $30 million in salary that became guaranteed if he remained on the roster in March per over the cap. So I'm just going to say as a blanket statement, I am so thankful that the Derek Carr saga is over. It felt like once he got injured in the Giants game after that insanely stupid decision to try and hurdle somebody on second down, it felt like every other day there was some ridiculous weird update coming out. Not every other day, but it felt like there was weird things and weird twists and weird turns to the story. So thank God that whole situation's over. Thank God we're not tied to him financially. And I will say it was odd. The whole situation was weird. I didn't like the idea of keeping Derek Carr, but I also can understand and appreciate a head coach, especially a first-year head coach and a first-time head coach, for saying, you know what? we're going to just play it safe. We're going to play it out with this contract, shed the money. Like, I think that they were just trying to play a conservative, taking a conservative approach to Derek Carr. That's why they went about the way they did. I'm not necessarily super critical of it, but I will say thank God it's over. Going back to what ESPN said, even if the $10 million was a sunk cost, it wasn't quite. Was Carr worth $30 million to the Saints in 2025? He shouldn't have been. This is a team in a dire cap situation and in need of a rebuild. Saving every penny is what should have mattered. Keeping Carr was a play to pay for mediocrity. I don't disagree. Paying Derek Carr, a very average quarterback, he was making average quarterback money, to be totally honest. So, I mean, $30 million is a lot, but I'm not going to go ahead and beat the bush. It's over. Plus, the $10 million roster bonus was subject to offset. So if Carr had been released and signed to another team for, say, $15 million, then New Orleans would have been off the hook, which was a possible scenario. In the grade above, I'm judging them by the decision they tried to make. The result was better given the surprise retirement. I will say in terms of ESPN, I don't necessarily disagree, but don't forget, Carr did not want to take a pay cut. He did seek a trade early in the 2025 offseason. These were reports that came out after the fact, and I will say I'm not shocked that ESPN was critical of it. I was critical of it. A lot of us were critical of it. Us fans were not very happy about the decision to keep Derek Carr around, but they had to make moves to get cap compliant, and one of the biggest moves that they could make to get financially stable again this year was to restructure Derek Carr, and that's what they ended up doing. Obviously, the saga is over, thank goodness, but I will tell you this. We made a lot of savings with the Derek Carr contract, but you are going to make some big-time savings. If you use our link, chubbyshorts.com/chat, you'll get 20% off your order. Chubby Shorts are absolutely amazing. Not only do they got like just regular running shorts and gym shorts, they got really nice shorts that you can wear every single day. They're the everywhere shorts. These look so fresh. They look great, and they make you feel so dang confident. It is hot outside, fellas, so it's time to let the dogs out. And by dogs, of course, we mean your legs. And if your pups have been stuck in jeans or sweats for the last few months, or heck, you have to wear pants every day to the office, I'm here to tell you, for the weekend, Chubby Shorts are the perfect gear. Whether you're poolside, lakeside, oceanside, or you got a fine little honey on your side, Chubby Shorts is here to make you look good, feel good, and absolutely soar with confidence. They have vibrant colors. They have really unique patterns. They have very, very cool stuff, and I highly encourage you to go get swagged out with Chubby Shorts. You can save 20% off on your order if you use code CHAT, that's code CHAT, at chubbyshorts.com. You're suiting up for cannonballs, cookouts, or casual Fridays. These swimsuits are absolutely great. No more chafing, no more swamp ass, no more mesh disasters. Thanks to the all-day comfort with a quick dry stretch fabric and that built-in liner that actually does its job. So click the link in the comments and description of this video. I made it easy for you to find. It's attached to the pinned comment. chubbyshorts.com/chat. You'll get 20% off your order. For a limited time, Chubby's is giving viewers of Saints Now by Chat Sports 20% off your order with our code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com. That's code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com. Support the show and let them know that we sent you. All right, let's continue this conversation because it is important to acknowledge the fact that although the Saints did have a weird situation with the Derek Carr contract, they also did make other moves, and they made some really interesting decisions at the quarterback position, and ESPN had thoughts around those. So with Carr retired, second-round pick Shough suddenly became an immediate contender to start. Shough joins a room that includes Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener, also Hunter Deckers, and he gives New Orleans hope for a chance at a long-term quarterback solution. And I will say this, it's important to look ahead at the quarterback position. I think that it was smart to get a young quarterback this year. You may not like who they went with, but I do think that getting a quarterback this year was a good move. The Saints, who rank last in ESPN's FPI rankings, ought to be spending their resources on players who can help them for years to come. Again, I'm normally pretty critical of these ESPN articles, but I tend to agree with that statement that the Saints need to be spending on the roster to build around the quarterback, the recipe for success across the NFL. If you look at a lot of teams that have been going to the Super Bowls and going and competing in the playoffs, it's having a really strong quarterback, or like Lamar Jackson, like Patrick Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Joe Burrow, like Jalen Hurts, may have critical things to say about them, but they're all good quarterbacks. Or you go the 49ers route or some of these other teams that have a young quarterback that are investing a lot, like the Commanders and like the 49ers did with Brock Purdy. So I think that the Saints should take advantage of the young contracts that they have at the rookie quarterback specifically and build around those around that player. Go get some talented receivers. Go get some talented running backs. Build on the offensive line. Build on the defensive line. Build through the draft. Like, these are all things that are a recipe for success. And I do agree that the Saints should be focusing on building around the young quarterback. Whether it's Tyler Shough, whether it's Spencer Rattler, or whether it's somebody in the future like Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, Lenora Sellers, something like that, we have to go ahead and build around the quarterback room. Take advantage of the cheap quarterback situation, because for a team like the Saints, who right now $23 million over, or more than $23 million to spend, that's a good thing for the Saints to do. Now, I also will say this. ESPN talked about Chase Young. He did say that many of their moves did not fit the mold. The Saints signed Chase Young to a $17 million per year deal, and he said that he feels partially that was a decision made to avoid a cap bill. The Saints did save money on bringing back Chase Young and Juwan Johnson, so I do think that that's something worth noting. He did post an above-average 19% pass rush win rate twice in the past 4 seasons, and he was fully healthy last year, and those were big concerns for the New Orleans Saints going in, or for a lot of players and a lot of people and a lot of media as well. Was Chase Young going to be healthy all season? He was, and he is viewed as the top pass rusher for the New Orleans Saints, and that is why the Saints invested the amount of money that they did in Chase Young. I understand that the player has not lived up to being the second overall pick back in 2020, but I do have faith that this is a guy who understands the assignment. He understands the pressure, and I think that he believes in this system, and part of that is, and that alone is a big part in why I have faith in Chase Young. He has been very aware, saying this new scheme is similar to what I played in during my rookie year, lining up in a true 9-tech out on the edge and just penetrating. Giggity. That's where I feel like I'm at my best. So let's take a rewind and look at Chase Young's rookie stats. This is the year he won Rookie of the Year, fresh out of Ohio State for the Washington football team at the time. 44 tackles, that was a career high. 10 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, that was a career high. 4 forced fumbles. I mean, he had a career season his rookie year, but has never quite lived up to it. He had 7.5 sacks again in his career. However, he needs to turn it around, and I want to see him hit double-digit sacks this season. That's my benchmark for Chase Young. If we can get 10-plus sacks, I think that the contract is 100% justified. But I want to hear from you. How many sacks do you think Chase Young will have this season? 10? 9? 8? 15? Who knows? I'm going to go with at least 10, but I want to hear from you in the comments. So let's keep this conversation going, because ESPN also was really critical about the Justin Reid signing. Before we go here, Lopez, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand why everyone hates the Justin Reid edition. I get that this isn't a team that's going to be competing for a Super Bowl, but like, why are you being so critical of this move? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And so let's look at what ESPN had to say on the Saints offseason around Justin Reid. Also, Juwan Johnson, for that matter. Safety Justin Reid is sort of a similar story, though. Signing Reid to a $10.5 million per year deal is totally fine in a vacuum. Probably even a good contract. But the Saints aren't in a vacuum. Paying tight end Juwan Johnson more than $10 million per year and more than $21 million fully guaranteed feels like too much. Look, I don't understand why everyone's critical of this move. This is an awesome addition. It was a very, very good contract. It's bringing home homegrown talent. It's a talented football player that can not only help usher in the new era of Saints football, but he can also help succeed in the current era of Saints football. Look at the depth chart. I mean, you have Justin Reid and Tyrann Mathieu pouring into young players like Jordan Howden and Jonas Sanker. You also have a couple other players on the roster as well that can fill in the DB positions. JT Gray is one of the special teams aces, or he is the Saints special teams ace. He's one of the best in the league at special teams. I don't get how people are so critical of this move. It was an awesome addition. I don't understand the hate. I mean, he's extremely productive. 87 tackles, 2 interceptions, 9 pass breakups last year. He's a good football player. And not only is he a good football player, he's an excellent leader, and he's a guy who can pour into the roster. And he can be a guy that can help build culture in New Orleans. I think that Juwan Johnson, or Justin Reed, can play at a high level while still helping usher in the new era of Saints football. Like, I think when you break it down from this standpoint, you take a look at where the Saints are right now. You still got a lot of veteran talent in Tyrann Mathieu, Demario Davis, Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. You got Cam Jordan. You have a lot of these types of players that are really, really good, but on the back end of the career, Justin Reed signed a multi-year deal so he can help these guys succeed right now, potentially, but also help usher in the Jonas Sankers, the Jordan Howdens, the Kool-Aid McKinstry's. He can help pour into those players and help fill their cup. So in my opinion, I think it's absolutely insane to call that a critical move. It's just wild for me to say. But let's focus on Juwan Johnson here, because I do think he needs to be consistently able to produce in order to justify that contract. It is a lot of money, over $10 million per year. That being said, I do think that he is a player that Kellen Moore has big plans for. That is evident by the fact that Kellen Moore had a late-night phone call with Juwan Johnson, laid out the plan, said, we want you back in New Orleans. He made him feel desired. He made him feel wanted. And I think Juwan Johnson will be used in like a tight end hybrid wide receiver role. And I think that that's going to be something that's going to be really, really cool. I would like to see Juwan Johnson get more involved in the red zone with that size at 6'4", 231 pounds. He is the biggest pass catcher alongside Foster Moreau. So I want to see him get more involved in the red zone. He's been very effective in the red zone when given opportunities, but I think that they need to give him more opportunities. Now, who do you think will lead the Saints in touchdowns this season? Will it be Alvin Kamara? Will it be Chris Olave? Rashid Shaheed? Deep balls definitely could be a factor, but I want to hear from you. I personally think, I don't know. On the spot, I'm going to go Rashid Shaheed with the deep ball. Maybe Alvin Kamara. I could be convinced on one of those two players. So let's round this thing out, and let's just finish off this conversation. ESPN talking about Tyler Shough and the draft pick of Kelvin Banks and addressing the offensive line, because that was a big talking point for this team going into this offseason. Before drafting Shough, New Orleans selected tackle Kelvin Banks Jr., number 9 overall. He allows the Saints to move Trevor Penning inside, while young tackles are usually below average players, even when they're first rounders. Having Banks and Talise Fuanga at tackle gives the Saints a chance to put together a nice line in time, one that could help develop a young quarterback. And that is the key there. You're trying to develop the young talent this year. You're trying to build the foundation that you can then achieve sustained success. In my opinion, the Saints offensive line will definitely be better in 2025. This was a good unit in 2024 before the injuries settled in. But if everyone can stay healthy, I truly do believe this offensive line will be much, much better. I also have more faith in the depth on the offensive line. So for that reason, I think just alone, the talent level has been raised. And so the floor of the offensive line has been raised as well. Thus, this team will have a better offensive line unit. But a big question mark lies around Trevor Penning. If he works out at left guard, the future of the Saints offense is extremely bright, because you can have a young offensive line that's not super duper expensive with a couple of really unique players with some really good talent that you can build with, develop the quarterbacks, give your opportunities to the running backs to succeed. But if he doesn't work out, then this is a position that is going to be a major need going into next year's offseason. My final thoughts. It's been almost a 20-minute video, so I'm going to let you guys go about your day. But before I do, I just think it's an ignorant and uneducated take to say that the Saints had the worst offseason in the National Football League. They will not be the worst team this season. They will not have the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. They will not be dead last in the NFC South again. I truly do believe this is a team that has really good talent that is just absolutely being overlooked, and this is a squad that's being slept on. This coaching staff is good. This team is rejuvenated, and I really do have faith in this squad moving forward. Now, Who Dat Nation, I really do appreciate y'all for rocking and rolling with us. A little bit longer of a video, but hey, we're trying to give you guys the best content all throughout the year. So don't forget to subscribe. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.